Scooby-Doo and the Halloween Hotel Haunt. Scooby-Doo and his friends from Mystery Incorporated were invited to a Halloween costume party at a fancy hotel. But when they arrived, all the guests were running outside. They looked frightened. Daphne spotted Mrs. Prim, and she was a nice woman who owned the hotel. "What's the matter?" Daphne asked. "Why is everyone running away?" "Oh, it's terrible, just terrible," cried Miss Prim. "Some of the guests spotted a real phantom in the hotel, and it's just too scary." "Looks like we've got a mystery to solve," said Fred. Velma pointed to the hotel window, "and I think I see what frightened everyone. Look!" Fred, Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby went inside the Prim Hotel to investigate. They were met by Seymour Prim. He was the hotel manager and Mrs. Prim's nephew. "This is awful," Seymour cried. "We have to sell the hotel now. No one will want to stay here if it's haunted." "Like, who could blame 'em?" Shaggy agreed. "The spook could be anywhere." "Rawr, rawr, rawr," Scooby agreed. "Don't worry, Seymour," Fred told him. "We'll get to the bottom of this mystery. If there's a phantom in this hotel, we will find it." Daphne looked around. "Yes, but where do we start?" she asked. "This is an awful big hotel." Scooby and his friends went upstairs to the second floor. They walked quietly down the hallway, looking for clues. It was dark, silent, and a little spooky. Suddenly there was a loud noise. Scooby leaped into Shaggy's arms. "Row, row, row!" Scooby yelled. "Relax, Scooby," Velma said. "It was probably just a creaky floorboard. This hotel is pretty old, you know." "Zoinks!" said Shaggy. "Like, this hallway's giving me the creeps. I feel like somebody's watching us." Scooby nodded his head. "Rah, ree-hoo," he agreed. "I'm sure no one is watching us," Daphne said. "You two chickens are just letting your imaginations get the best of you." "We'll search farther down the hall," Fred said. "Shaggy, you and Scooby check this room." Fred pointed into the dark, eerie room. Shaggy and Scooby shook their heads from side to side. "Like, no way, Fred. Scooby and I are going to snoop around this scary run-down hotel room." Shaggy said, "But we'll be glad to run down and wait in the van. Right, Scooby?" "Right," said Scooby. Velma promised Shaggy and Scooby some Scooby snacks and an extra Halloween bag treat if they would search the room. "Want to chow down?" Scooby screamed. As quietly as they could, Scooby and Shaggy tiptoed through the room. Shaggy noticed a big open door, so he opened it. When he saw what was inside, they screamed and jumped into the laundry chute. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo slid down, down, down the long laundry chute. They yelled all the way down. Ka-dunk! At the bottom of the chute, they landed in the laundry basket. And it tipped over, and they were in the hotel's laundry room, where all the guest linens and bath towels were washed and dried. They jumped up and ran into the corner of the room and far away from the chute. No phantom was going to land on them. Suddenly, Shaggy let out a scream and waved his arms through the air. "Help! Help! Like the phantom's touching me!" Shaggy cried. "Ree-hoo! Ree-hoo!" Scooby howled. "Help!" Now both Shaggy and Scooby were clawing at the air around them, trying to push the phantom away. They could see the phantom. They couldn't see the phantom, but they could feel it tickling them from above. Fred, Daphne, and Velma heard Scooby and Shaggy screaming in the basement. Come on, gang. Let's go downstairs, Fred told Daphne and Velma. It sounds like Shaggy and Scooby are in some real trouble. They ran back down the old staircase to the first floor as fast as they could. Thump! There was a strange noise coming from the grand ballroom. Velma and Daphne went to investigate. The grand ballroom was decked out with Halloween costume party looking very cool. Daphne looked around. Well, Shaggy and Scooby aren't in here, she said. I'm surprised there's so much food. Nope, no one here but a fake monster, Velma said as she looked behind one of the phony paper ghouls. I don't think these could scare anyone. Ah! Velma jumped in fear. Something leaped out from behind the paper monster and moaned eerie. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby were running through the spooky service corridor underneath the hotel. They still thought the phantom was after them. They could feel something touching their feet and ankles. Like, the phantom is trying to grab us, Scoob! Shaggy yelled. Run for your life! Woo! The phantom got Scoob cried. They tried to run without touching the ground. They ran so fast and ran so far they didn't even notice that the corridor had ended, and they ran right into an underground cave. It didn't matter, though. They could still feel the slimy, creepy things touching their feet. Shaggy and Scooby just wanted to get away. When the phantom jumped out at them, Fred and Daphne and Velma hightailed it out of the grand ballroom and down one of the hotel's hallways. The phantom's laughter echoed through the hallway behind them. The gang didn't stop until they found the janitor's closet and hid there. This is where the janitor keeps all the supplies for repairing things that break or got worn out of the hotel. At first, nothing seemed out of place, but after closer inspection, the young detectives noticed some clues. Fred remarked. There seems to be something on this door. And I spy something very interesting evidence on the floor. Well, I don't see anything, Daphne said, confused. What are you looking at? Fred smiled. Turn off the lights, and you will see. Help, help, cried Shaggy. This phantom won't give up. Woo, woo, Scooby yelped. And now they were deep inside the underground cave. All around them was mining equipment, the kind miners used when they were digging for gold. Scooby-Doo and Shaggy tried to hide from the phantom. They thought the phantom was whirling around in the air above their heads. They could hear the fluttering of wings and strange noises. Like, I think we're goner, Scoob, Shaggy shouted as he ducked down. Like, I think there's something here. Scooby ducked down too, covering his head. Roar, roar, he cried. Shaggy and Scooby hid under one of the mining machines. Suddenly, Shaggy realized something. Hey, Scoob, Shaggy said, smiling. That wasn't the phantom. It was bats. And now that I think about it, that wasn't the phantom in the hallway or the laundry room either. It was just spider webs. And bugs and snakes that we felt. Pretty silly, huh? Right. Scooby laughed. Really? Then Scooby-Doo and Shaggy noticed the digging on the mine machines in the cave. It was very strange, but they saw something even stranger. Two men were on the other side of the cave talking to someone who wasn't there. Shaggy and Scooby started to sneak back to the hotel without being seen by the two men. Crash! Scooby and Shaggy bumped right into Fred, Daphne, and Velma. Before he could help himself up, Scooby let out a big whoop! Suddenly, the two men turned towards the kids. Get them! Cried the third voice that seemed to be coming out of nowhere. Come on, gang! Fred shouted. Back up to the ballroom. Hurry! Velma, Fred, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby ran out of the cave and up to the ballroom as fast as they could. They quickly ducked into the corner and hid. I wonder what happened to the Phantom, Daphne asked. Like, I think the Phantom is the least of our troubles, whispered Shaggy. Those two goons don't look very friendly. The two mystery miners were getting closer. You're right, Shaggy, Velma agreed. I bet they're up to something shady. Don't worry, gang. Before we ran into the Shag and Scoob, I had a chance to set a trap for the Phantom, Fred told them. The trap would work just as well on these two. Fred released the net and caught the two men, the Phantom. Fred pulled off the Phantom's mask. It was Seymour Prim. There's an old gold mine in the hotel, said Seymour angrily. I thought if I scared everyone away, my aunt would sell this hotel to the miners and I would be rich. But I didn't count on these meddling kids and their pesky dog. Thank you, said Miss Prim to the gang. Here's a reward. Like, where? Asked Shaggy. I don't see anything. But Scooby knew there would be something on the tray. He dimmed the lights, and he was right. Scooby-Doo!